This edition of The Best Times focuses on the act of giving. You'll meet volunteers who keep the holiday spirit alive all year long. You'll meet a man who's had a lifetime love affair with the theater, actor and director Barry Fuller. And we'll answer basic questions about a syndrome known as the silent killer. Funding for The Best Times is provided by... Since 1988, the H.W. Durham Foundation has been focused on aging issues, providing grants to programs like The Best Times to enrich and improve the quality of life for our older citizens. The Best Times is the only monthly news magazine exclusively for the age 50-plus reader. Your copy is free at over 200 locations, with important stories and news you don't want to miss. The Best Times is always the best. Trezevant, a life care community, a celebration of life. The responsible decision for your well-being now and in the long term. And being responsible has never been such a hoot. TrezevantManor.org. It is in giving that we receive. Those are the words of St. Francis of Assisi. The holiday season is the time when those words are often transformed into actions. People think of giving to others and find personal reward in that simple act. In tonight's cover story, which was first broadcast last year, we visit with several organizations and individuals in this community that practice the art of giving back and exude the holiday spirit year-round, because they know just better to give. It's 3 weeks before Christmas, and the children at Bruce Elementary School are surprised by presents appearing at their desks and Father Christmas standing in the corner. On this day across the city, over 4,000 gift bags like these, packed by volunteers, are being delivered to elementary school children. And along with the gifts, Father Christmas delivers a lesson in sharing. Vincent Astor is a volunteer portraying Father Christmas.
We teach this lesson in outside of here, it's all get, and I want. But here is a little bit of sharing and giving and so forth. And you never know when that's going to stick. You never know when you're talking to a small child whether they're going to, what they're going to remember. But if they remember something like that, it will be with them all their lives.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital was founded in 1962 by a man who knew a thing or two about giving. Today, hundreds of St. Jude volunteers follow Danny Thomas's example. Meet Larry Campagna. He's a 78-year-old former city employee who has volunteered at St. Jude for 16 years. He says it's his way of giving back.
I guess first it means that it's some place to go to and give back and to pay back and to feel dedicated and feel like I love this place, and I do. I see the children here, and it just means a whole lot to me.
Volunteers have played an integral role in the hospital, and everything from answering the telephone and in the early days, picking up patients from the airport and housing them in their homes and providing them meals, everything. And we certainly have evolved since then into a different volunteer program, but volunteers have been absolutely integral and really truly the heart of St. Jude since the very beginning. I believe in my heart that a lot of our volunteers feel that this is their life legacy, that they're giving back and that they will be remembered for doing that. And it just means so much to them and adds a whole nother layer to our jobs in knowing that we're playing a role in effectively engaging them.
According to data from the Corporation for National and Community Service, Memphis is about average among the largest cities in the country in volunteering. The numbers show that about 1/4 of adults in Memphis volunteered an average of about 33 hours per resident. Almost half of people volunteered at churches or religious organizations, followed by educational institutions and social service providers. In total, volunteer contributions amounted to over $700 million, but the need for volunteers is greater than the supply.
There's a huge need. There's all kinds of organizations that need volunteers every day. I mean, it's endless.
Joanne Lowe directs the RSVP program at the Aging Commission and counts Larry Campagna among her volunteers. The RSVP program is a clearinghouse for matching people over 65 with service opportunities. Joanne feels that volunteering can give retirees a sense of purpose in life.
If you sit around and you don't do anything, you end up just sitting there, and it just gives them something to do, people to be around, and it gives them a purpose in life.
The concept of giving purpose to one's life through volunteering is reinforced by a study that showed that among people over 60, volunteering provided both physical and mental health benefits. It's interesting to note that similar correlations were not found among younger volunteers. In short, volunteering may help you live longer.
To stay in the game with the Rockets.
Here at the Memphis Academy of Health Sciences, a charter school, you'll find two men who have something in common. Robert Toombs, retired surgeon, and Steve Brown, retired lawyer, are both volunteer tutors.
I really believe in that school. I think they have a wonderful school. I really enjoyed working with the kids, and I found out that one of the problems was vocabulary. The first little boy I worked with was vocabulary. So we worked on vocabulary, and they teased me about saying, here, old Doc Toombs is over there. You can hear him working on that vocabulary with this young boy. But I could see the difference that it made with him, and I think working with him for 2 years in a row really got me hooked. I don't know, it's a lot of fun to do that, and you sort of feel like, well, you know, why should I stay at home and watch television or read a book or whatever when I can actually go over there and maybe help one of these kids. And I get a big kick out of doing that.
After 3 years as a volunteer tutor, Steve Brown was hired by the Academy and now works full-time as an assistant teacher in special education.
Working with the kids is, you know, it's a stimulating thing. It's a fulfilling thing. The kids, this is a charter school, and the kids I work with are basically inner city kids. They need help in math and reading and other subjects, and I feel like I'm making a difference.
People really yearn to help other people, and we feel as though one of the things we say is we help people find their passion.
Mark Dean is director of Volunteer Mid-South, another service clearinghouse listing over 250 organizations and nonprofits seeking volunteers of all ages. His agency placed Dr. Toombs and Steve Brown, and he points out that Steve's experience of being hired after volunteering isn't unusual.
When I was earlier in my career, I was faced with doing a lot of public relations in a new job and didn't have that much background in it, so I took on volunteer opportunities that gave me an opportunity to exercise those muscles, and ended up being the marketing coordinator for the barbecue contest here for several years. So volunteering can be a career builder. It can be, I always wanted to but never got a chance in my career to do this. It can be whatever you want it to be.
It's AARP Day at the Civil Rights Museum, with free admission, food, music, and exhibits. At one of the tables is information about one of the latest programs offered by AARP, Create the Good.
Create the Good is a website where everyone can go in and post their volunteer opportunities. So for instance, today the Alzheimer's Association is here with us. They can go on the Create the Good website and advertise their great memory walks and make sure and recruit volunteers for that. In talking to our members, we discovered that people really like to help their family, friends, and neighbors, and it makes them feel good. And it does make a difference.
In his book, The Blue Zones, author Dan Buettner identifies areas around the world with unusually high concentrations of centenarians and asks the question, why are they living longer? One of the surprising answers is that having a sense of purpose in life, the reason you get out of bed in the morning, is one of the common traits of people who live to be 100.
Service is one of the things that I think operates like Valium in a way, that you feel better because you've served.
I think the important thing is just to take a few hours of your time every week and go out and do something and be connected to other people and have a sense of purpose in your life and engage yourself so that you can feel that you have, given something back, and that all the wonderful things you've been given through in your life, that they are paid forward to other people.
Pushing the teddy bears aside.
Father Christmas is reading to the students at Bruce Elementary. He's the spirit of giving, and has won over a few skeptics when they found out his beard was real. Vincent Astor has volunteered to play Father Christmas on this day for 7 years now, and he wouldn't miss the opportunity.
December 6th, the Feast of St. Nicholas, is my birthday. And when I wake up at 5 in the morning and turn up at an elementary school to play St. Nicholas, it's a really wonderful way to start my birthday.
There is an old theatrical superstition that to wish an actor good luck before they step on stage is considered bad luck. So, even in today's modern theater, reverse psychology applies, and just before an actor makes an entrance, someone will say, "break a leg," thereby wishing him good luck. Barry Fuller has had more than his share of good luck on Memphis stages. He's been a fixture at local theaters for the last 50 years. Let's meet Barry Fuller.
Do I not present an abundance?
Oh yes, quite an abundance.
Barry Fuller is rehearsing for the holiday presentation of the Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol. It's the 13th time in his career that he's performed the role of Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, that's delicious. I love the creative process. Just the getting in there and doing it, being on stage. It has a lot to do with the lights and the feeling and the costumes. It's dress up, it's imagination.
Imagination has played a considerable role in Barry's life. As you can tell by his accent, he isn't a native Memphian.
I was born in Wagga Wagga, which is a little country town on the Murrumbidgee River in what is known as the Riverina district of New South Wales in Australia. Both my mother and father loved theatre. They took me to theatre. We used to go to the Old Tiv to see the variety shows. They were not theatre people, they were not talented people, not at all. Except that they were wonderful people, but they did introduce me to theatre. I'd been going to theatre since I was a small kid and then to the movies. And so entertainment has always been a part of my life. I've always been a character actor. I can remember when I was a kid and we used to do church plays. I was always the old prophet. I was always had the fake beard, which was very fake, and things like that. So I've always been a character actor. Actually, as a kid, I did a professional show. I was a tap dancer. When I was 11 years old, we performed at the Prince Edward Theatre during the Christmas show. You know, during the intermission, they'd show the B movie, then it'd be intermission, there'd be the orchestra and the organ would come up, and then up would come the floor, and there'd be us tapping away like crazy.
After high school, Barry came to the States to study acting at the University of Iowa. It was there that he met an MFA candidate from Memphis.
Up there I met George and Barbara Touliatis, who had started who had, at that point, were members of a theatre group called Theatre 12. This was before Front Street Theatre days, and they invited me to come to Memphis, and I played Malvolio in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. That was my first role in Memphis. That was 1956.
After graduation and a brief return to Australia, Barry returned to Memphis for 6 seasons at Front Street Theatre.
George Touliartist once told me that I was an instinctive actor, and that is it. I go totally by instincts. I read the word, I say the word, and that is it. I don't go into depths of it. That's why I'm a character actor and not a lead. I've only ever played one romantic lead in all my life. I've only ever kissed 2 women on stage. I've never been a love interest. See, that is it. Oh, but by golly, I've had the good roles. And so there we go.
After Front Street Theatre folded, Barry went to New York. He had several auditions, but no luck on the Broadway stage.
I auditioned at a time when it wasn't a good time for an actor with an Australian accent. And it was thick then. It's kind of gone a little beyond the border. I go back to Australia now and they say, oh, you're an American. And then I come over here and they say, well, where are you from? You know, so you can't win. But that doesn't bother me because it's part of what I am and I enjoy it. When I go back to Australia, I do lots of yes ma'ams and y'alls, and I'm fixing to.
With the lights of Broadway behind him, Barry came back to Memphis and began a career as a travel agent, an occupation whose globe-hopping nature fed his deep passion for the arts.
I'm particularly interested in art. I've been to all the great European art museums, and I just love them. You know, you see pictures in a book of something by Botticelli, and you go to the Uffizi Gallery, and there it is, and it's 3 times bigger than you had imagined it to be. And there are little things in it that are surprises, little flowers that you never see in that picture in the book. And, or you go to the Prado in Madrid, and there is a painting on the wall of a cardinal all in red. The red's beautiful, but that guy's got the saddest eyes you've ever seen. Just, you feel for him. And I don't know about the brush strokes or the period or anything like that, but I know what moves me.
With the travel business paying the bills, Barry has energetically pursued acting and directing on Memphis stages for the last 50 years. He's got well over 200 production credits, everything from Shakespeare to Sondheim, and performances in both ballet and opera as well. Not bad for a man who just turned 82.
I go to the gym at least 5 days a week. I'm active, I'm doing things, I'm not sitting around like so many seniors these days who are sitting around, but then so many who are not. We're in an age where people my age are out doing things, and we're happy, and why not? I'm an optimist. Always have been. I look forward to the future. That's why I told you I'm going to audition for a role. It's what's going to happen next time. It's in trips. What's going to be my next trip? I look forward to things.
Rehearsals continue for A Christmas Carol. Having first played the role of Scrooge in 1977, Barry finds it interesting to return to the role at a different stage in his life.
Doing Scrooge is coming back to doing another part of a life that was there 33 years ago, and I'm coming back to renew it at an age which may be a little closer to what he was. But last night we dug in and did a rehearsal, and it was that creative process, and it was wonderful. You start a play and there's people wandering all over the pub, and a lot of the time you don't have all the actors there, particularly with the large cast like A Christmas Carol. But then when it all comes together and suddenly you've got a show and you get up there and you perform it and you know that you're entertaining people. And that's the thing to me, and then they applaud and they clap for you, and that's nice, but you know that you've entertained them in the long run, and they've had hopefully a good night. I just enjoy what I'm doing, and at this point in my life I'm enjoying it even more. And I think that that's a realization that you know you're on the tag end of things. It's beginning to go. I'm not 30 or 15 or even 50 or 60. I'm 80, and I'm excited about being 80 and going on and doing the things that I want to do.
The facts about hypertension or high blood pressure are well known. 1 in every 3 adult Americans, that's some 65 million people, have hypertension. Over half of all Americans 60 and older have high blood pressure, and it can lead to heart attacks or strokes. And the frightening thing is, you may not even know you have it. Here's some basic information about the syndrome known as the silent killer. What is hypertension?
Hypertension is a syndrome where the heart really has to work against pressure that's developed in the vessels, and it becomes harder and harder for the heart to work because the vessels themselves are increasing their internal pressure.
What are the risk factors?
When the vessels are under pressure, it can impede blood flow and stop good flow to all the organs. So as a consequence, you can have kidney disease, heart disease, or even strokes or heart attacks. The increased pressure damages the vessels and also damages the organs. But more importantly, especially from the standpoint of a cardiologist, is it's increased pressure that the heart has to pump against. So every time the heart beats, it puts too much pressure on the heart because the pressure that it's pumping against is just simply too high.
Why is it called the silent killer?
High blood pressure really doesn't have any symptoms until it's too late. One of the problems with high blood pressure is it's a silent disease. Again, people think of it primarily as something, oh, if you have high blood pressure, you're going to have a stroke. But the stroke is only the final culmination of that large vessel damage. It's that small vessel damage being done to every single organ of the body all the way through the time of untreated hypertension that creates organ failure for so many people.
How can you treat hypertension?
Most hypertension requires a combination of diet, lifestyle, and medication. There's probably over 100 blood pressure medications out there on the market. Some people are well controlled on single medications. Some people need multiple. Some people need low doses of several medicines to get adequate blood pressure effect without having any side effects. So there's many, many options for treating blood pressure. Now that said, you can also help by keeping yourself in good condition. Exercise or just activity keeps blood pressure down in most people. Not being overweight keeps blood pressure down in most people. Treating diabetes or treating high cholesterol helps to keep blood pressure down because it decreases the strain on the body overall.
My blood pressure is 120/80. What does that mean?
The upper number represents the pressure that's generated in your vessels when your heart contracts, and the lower number represents the pressure in the vessels when the heart relaxes. So the blood pressure can go up and down as the heart pumps. What we listen for is that upper number. It tells us how much the heart is pumping against. And we listen for the lower number because that tells us how tight the vessels currently are. 120/80 used to be considered right in the mid-range of normal. Now we really consider that the upper limit of normal. For most people, we'd like to see their blood pressure 120/80 or lower.
I've read that over a lifetime, the risk of developing hypertension is 90%. Is this true?
High blood pressure may be a natural progression of hardening of the arteries in many people. When we decide we're going to treat high blood pressure, we're trying to treat it because of the long-term consequences. And although older patients with high blood pressure are at increased risk for stroke and heart disease, younger patients And when I say younger, I mean people in their late 40s and early 50s who do not yet have the consequences of long-term hypertension need to be especially vigilant about making sure their blood pressure is in control, taking their medications, and seeing their physicians regularly.
For more information about detection and treatment of hypertension, see your doctor or visit webmd.com. Want more information about life after 50? Go to our website, wkno.org/besttimes. And while you're online, click over to Next Avenue, PBS's website where grown-ups keep growing. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Hardaway. Good night. Funding for The Best Times is provided by Trezevant, a life care community, a celebration of life. The responsible decision for your well-being now and in the long term. And being responsible has never been such a hoot. TrezevantManor.org. The Best Times is the only monthly news magazine exclusively for the age 50-plus reader. Your copy is free at over 200 locations, with important stories and news you don't want to miss. The Best Times is always the best. Since 1988, the H.W. Durham Foundation has been focused on aging issues, providing grants to programs like The Best Times to enrich and improve the quality of life for our older citizens.